Hello and welcome to the Raq and Ash podcast. This is Raq.
And this is Ash.
So welcome everybody. This is our April episode and we're going to get right into it. Raquel?
We're excited to engage with you again this month. So much has happened, and you'll see as this episode goes along why this is called our messy episode, so to speak. But I just want to say again a huge thank you for some of the past events that we just had in the month of March and some in April. But we had a huge successful female empowerment event at the Roti Hut. Mm-hmm. And we just want to thank the team of volunteers, every guest, every worker at the Roti Hut. Just so grateful and honored to pull off our first event for Let Your Light So Shine, the consulting company that I run. And we are just excited to share more details and some of the follow-ups that happened thereafter, which you'll hear about later on in the show. So we're excited to get started.
Yes. And as always, everyone, we just want to remind you to be sure to like, to share, and to subscribe to our channel. And just keep the message going of the Raq and Ash podcast. All right. Yes. So we're going to get right into it.
So welcome back. We're going to dive right into referencing some of our past events, which actually will also be shared via newsletter, which is going to be sent out probably today after we finish taping, and then on Instagram and on our socials. So we hope that you take the time to read about it. The first being the event made the Queen's Chronicle. They published an article and really just highlighted the empowerment of what community looks like. So take a look, take a read. Mm-hmm. And then again, we had this incredible opportunity of being a part with Ashley, who directed the Easter play at our church. Yes. So much has been shared on social media leading up to the play and the message, the great I am. Mm-hmm. And I think this just leads us to why we're having this episode today and the discussions that were prompted from it. But the play was amazing. Great job.
God is good. You worked it out.
Yes. How does it feel though after the play? What are your feelings usually after you pull off something like that? It was incredible, by the way. Well, hopefully you'll show some snippets of it.
Oh, I'd love to show some photos, maybe a clip or two. Yeah. And but yeah, it's I don't know how to explain it. It feels like yes, we accomplished something, but more than that, just as long as someone was reached, someone was touched, someone decided that night that they were going to accept Christ into their life, that's all that really matters to me. And yes, of course, there's a lot of busyness, and it was like a big season for my husband and I to really prepare, and everyone. I mean, even Raquel's son was our Jesus for the play, and I know it was a lot of work for all of us, but the work is worth it, because of the message, because we know we're reaching people. And yeah, we're going to enjoy a season of a little bit of downtime. And I know we're going to talk about certain things as far as rest and coming down from busy seasons. So yeah, but it was a blessing. It always is. So
yeah, and thank you to so many people who came.
Yes,
our friends, our family, who were just stunned. They used word stunning and phenomenal and amazing and blessed.
Yes.
Right? So let's not forget the real reason behind Easter and the play and the reason why you and Tim do what you do and, encourage us to do the same. Oh, yes. So, yeah. And I think that's where we will also start the conversation about what does Easter mean to you, what it means to me and my family, and then the message about grace, right? Even as we prepared today for this episode, it was it's and coming off of the heels of the episode with Dr. Kim and talking about what that looks like when you're overwhelmed and when you're juggling, and it's happening to us in real time. Yeah. So, I mean, just even in today in preparing for this episode, I felt like I had to take a what do we call it? Breaking beach day from church. I still watch church on, the TV, but I had to get my house in order. Yeah. And by my house, my physical house, but also my mental space. There's so much going on as the weather starts to warm up for so many people, whether it's your business, your job, your events, work, all of that. So I just needed to get my house in order and cook
You and me both.
and do all of the above.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, well, diving into
grace.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
how do you give yourself grace, Ash? Or I guess we were going to define it as well. So I'll let Ash take it away, and kind of give us a definition of what grace is.
Yes. So just for people who are like, well, what do you mean by grace? Defining what is showing grace or showing of grace is treating people or yourself with kindness, patience, and understanding, even when they make mistakes and behave in ways we do not like. Recognizing everyone is human, and since we are all human, we must love and show love in spite of our flaws. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I feel like, and maybe a lot of people can relate to this, but I feel like we're so quick to give grace to others and, like reflect that for others, but it's really hard to do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And like even taking breaks or taking time to rest or taking time to use no as a complete sentence because you just need mentally to be okay, physically to be okay, spiritually to be okay. It just feels like grace is harder to accomplish for my own self. This is just my story, than it is for me to give others. What about you?
That's interesting. So our two parts are like, how do we feel about grace? And then also, do we find that we're challenged in that area of giving grace? So from the perspective of, can I show grace to myself? It's hard, like you said, because we feel like, for example, after this season, obviously, naturally, we just need rest for our bodies and for our minds. Like there's a lot of mental, energy that goes into planning anything. And so after that, then you kind of feel like, well, what's next? What's the next thing? But then you kind of have to stop and say, wait, I'm human. I'm flesh and blood. I do need to show myself some love, some patience, and some peace. And in the last few years of my life anyway, I feel like the assignments that the Lord has me on kind of can keep me on go mode. But let's remember, even God rested. That seventh day, he gave himself as an example to us. Like, listen, there's going to come a time where you get fatigued, where you get overwhelmed mentally, physically, spiritually. We have to say one day at least to just rest our bodies and our minds. So I do it, but it is not easy. And it is a challenge. But now let me direct to you. Is it a challenge to show grace to others sometimes?
Not really. I mean, I try to always have a positive mindset and kind of give the benefit of the doubt quicker than I judge. I try not to.
Oh, that's great.
And if you're out there and I judged you, I'm sorry. No, I'm just saying, like, I think, I don't think it's hard. I think it can be challenging based on the circumstances that you're in, right? Like, let's not pretend that everybody's all hunky-dory. And as Christians or women of faith, like, we don't have challenges to these things. Like, there are situations where you may have to count to 10 or 100, because
4,000.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
But I think the more mature you get in your faith, your mindset shifts, your perspective is a little bit more forgiving. And then when you recognize, how do you reflect Christ? How do you reflect, the characteristics of Christ, like we keep talking about? Then it's more, it's more easily accessible.
Yeah.
It's even though it might seem like, oh my gosh, right? You don't you like, Lord, no, you did not mean for me. No,
Right. I hear you.
But yeah, I try to though.
Yeah.
I try to.
I will say, in us getting to know each other, it seems easier for you than I would say for myself. I'm going to be very honest.
Really?
Yeah. Let me say,
I'm shocked.
I'm trying to come to with how to explain that. First off, let me rewind. There was a day we were talking about this episode, you and I on the phone, and you said, I feel like the Lord is saying grace. And at first I was like, oh, okay, it's fine with me. Like my mind was like in planning mode of play. I said, she got this. Let's
Yeah.
just go with what that's happening. But can I say that this week it's so necessary? And I'm looking at my husband because he knows it's been very necessary to talk about this for us because I've been challenged in this area a lot with
With your husband or with
oh
just in
no.
general?
Actually, Tim has been a great partner in helping me with that, praying me through it, and he's kind of like, "Thank you,
Yeah.
Jesus," in the back.
I'm not in trouble.
But like Tim and I are partners in what we do, not just in as a marriage, but in ministry as well. When the Lord calls us to something, it isn't us thing for the most part, unless like a woman needs to speak woman to woman or whatever it is. Generally, He calls us both to do something to help someone, to counsel someone, whatever it is. So there are many times when things get very challenging in that area. And I think it's because for me, and I've talked about this in the last episode, I struggled for a long time expressing myself, being extremely quiet and closed in. When years later you are more open, you find it hard to kind of refine your speech, like the way you speak to people, because the truth is every person receives things differently. Every person, you could be saying, you know what, I know I'm being really kind right now, and then the person could
Is
take it
offended.
wrong,
Yeah.
or be offended, and so you're like, oh well, Lord, what do I do with that? So
Yeah.
I do think there have been a lot of challenges in that area, being in the space of counsel for other people. But with that said, like you said, we're human, and God is not expecting us to walk around being perfect people. He expects us to look to Him. And so with that, I say definitely I've been turning to Jesus, like not only just in planning the play and saying, oh, well, let me write this story and express this. Now it's like, well, no, let me write this story and use it as a mirror, a reflection, and say, well, Lord God, how do I be that way? How can you make me more like you? And so this
Yeah.
has been a great experience in kind of saying, life imitating art in some way, like saying, well, I put this artistic work out there, but now I'm saying, God, please feed it into my spirit, into my life, into how I act with others too. So yeah, it's interesting.
I've always been pretty good at self-reflecting before, getting into anything. Like I always try to take that one step back. Again, I'm not perfect. No one is. I'm just saying I try to put that into practice.
Yeah.
So like if somebody is offended or is hurt, or I try to see what was my role in that. And if I didn't have a role, how do we give ourselves, now again, turn it back on us, and how do we give ourselves grace by saying we don't have to necessarily pick up people's narrative. Somebody taught me that once, a dear friend of mine. Like everyone has a narrative or a perspective, and it doesn't necessarily mean it is the actual fact of what happens. It just means, right, we all have different ways of looking at things. We're all unique in that. But I think at the end of the day, we just have to remember that when we are trying to reflect Christ, when we are trying to live according to the word, and we are trying to be better, right? Because once you know better, you aim to do better, right?
Yes.
And when you know, you know. So I feel like now for me, as I mature, it's always like using that self-reflection and amping it up a bit more. So
That's good. I like that actually, because like you said, everybody receives things differently and are seeing things from a different perspective. And so you do have to give yourself grace and say, well, wait a minute, I can't help this person's perspective. I just pray that I can keep things, in a decent manner. And that's all we can do. Like you said, we can just wake up every day and say, Lord, help me to be more like you, and he'll give us those steps and the guidance that we need. So.
And Ash, to be honest too, it doesn't even just apply to people's behavior or your behavior. It's not even just about behavior. It could even be about something you're experiencing. Like this morning when I shared with you, I'm like, oh, I'm actually glad our episode kind of pivoted a bit because I was preparing for an event yesterday that took up like most of my day. Friday, I had meetings in a pretty busy day. And then, going into today, it's like I felt overwhelmed. And I'm overwhelmed because, again, the house is crazy. Laundry needs to be done. Food needs to be cooked. Bills have to be paid. Emails have to be sent. All of these things that even Rachel talked about last. Like, how do we juggle all of this and still keep our sanity in the best way, right? We have to learn to take things off of our plate. And that can also mean giving yourself grace. Like, okay, you know what? I can do the laundry today, but I don't need to fold it today, right? That'll be tomorrow. And I can send 10 emails, I won't send 100 or respond.
Yeah,
You
it's true.
know, things like that. So I just feel it applies to so many areas of our life, grace.
Yes, it
And
is.
God gives us grace every
Yes.
second of the day. Like even in its scripture that we're not supposed to plan. Tomorrow's not promised. So we're like minute by minute, if we live and we reflect and we do good, I think it's better than planning.
You're right. Absolutely.
So
So to
that's what I'm learning.
I mean, as we are nearing our end of the segment, I have to say, just I feel like the Lord just deposited in my head to remember that we had a whole different day planned to film this episode, and amazingly enough, the Lord put Raquel and I both in the same space, and everybody behind the scenes are my husband and her son, who's assisting us for us to be here for this moment,
Yeah.
be able to do it. And if we had done it at a different time, we may not be able to speak from the place of showing ourselves grace and showing
Yeah.
others grace. Like you said, you had a busy weekend. We had a weekend where we were trying to force ourselves to like relax, you know? So we all find ourselves today in that space of saying, you know what? We're going to show ourselves grace. So
Yeah.
interestingly enough, the topic is reflecting where we are. So I think that's perfect.
And if you have an experience,
Yes.
you know, the audience, if you have an experience where you either have to show grace at work or you show it to yourself or to your spouse or to your kids or, you know, your immediate surroundings, whatever that looks like, you know, drop us a chat
Yes.
and say like, you know, grace is also, I don't know, sitting and doing nothing and just meditating or on God's word or playing music.
Yeah.
Like today I was cooking and I just put on some music and it was like, you know, it felt great.
The
Yeah.
simple things sometimes we just need. But yes, definitely we will put something up in the comments for people to just join in this conversation. I know this is probably a topic people can relate to all the time. So
I think so.
yeah.
So we're gonna just flow directly from grace and also what it means to have or be a servant leader.
Yes.
Right? I've always referenced myself as a servant leader. I like to be that type of leader that really pours into others and move them to the forefront.
Yeah.
As much as I'm in the limelight, because I do want to address that, right? Like I feel like this week has given me opportunity where it feels like there's a contrast or something, or maybe I'm using the wrong word, so bear with me. But like as much as I am in the limelight, as much as I am photographed and on social media and in the public eye and all of that, that is never my intention. It just happens, right? And my way of being a servant leader is to really pour into those around me, you know, especially women, and just pour in and support and just help. Help to help for someone to thrive and to flourish and all of that. And a lot of people judge that. A lot of people take that to mean like, oh yeah, right. You know, like not that we need to care so much about what people judge or think or right, as long as you know who you are and you're rooted in your identity. But I wanted to talk. I think it's good to talk about that because you might have a different perspective of what servant leadership means. But I don't know. For me, I struggle with that a lot in my career. You know, not just my, like in everything. It's like I feel like I'm, and then sometimes it feels like people are like, oh yeah, but you're still in the front line and so on. But that just happens.
You hit the nail right on the head. So once you said that, it's like I said, okay, there we go. Okay, anything that the Lord has ever opened up a door, whether it be career-wise, whether it be mostly like I'm thinking ministry-based, it's almost been like he took his foot and said, get out there, because I naturally don't gravitate towards being seen. Like you just said, you're like, well, it just kind of happened. But like naturally, I would never put myself out there like that. Like it's just, even with like when I think about ministry, it was kind of approached for me to do these things, and I was the person who's like, I'm gonna be the prop person in the back. I don't want to be seen. I just want to be a helping hand. And so then somehow, oh no, put yourself out there and please produce, you know, for this ministry. And so I say to that I'm sure it's a part of the formula Like you just said it, oh, well, it's not my way to be in the front. And then people have speculation about it. They could have the speculation, but we know the origins that like, well, no, that's not even our nature. And to speak to your, like when every event I've ever been at that you conduct, you are always giving people the spotlight. You're always saying, well, this is an open door for others to be able to speak to. And so if it just so happened that, hey, they want to put your face out there, it's because the Lord has blessed you in that way to be able to be the face that's out there. But he probably feels he can trust it more with someone who won't get too big of a big head about it and be at peace and be at in this place of humility. So for me, yeah, I and then thinking of Christ's servant leadership, that's who he was. He was a servant. He served people. What do you need from me? I think he even says to someone who wants to be healed, what are you asking me to do for you?
Yeah.
And so if that's his way, of course, naturally he's going to create that kind of desire for us to be that way.
Well, I think that then ties it back to giving myself grace over people's opinions, over people's interjections and things like that. And I'm going to share something that just happened yesterday.
Oh, good story.
So I went, yes, get ready, boys and girls. No. I attended an event yesterday, a fabulous event. It's a yearly event, and it was in Brooklyn, and it was really fabulous. You'll see pictures and stuff like that. So it so happened I was one of 3 of the winners, top winners, about to win best dress. And my family, my friends, my Trini family and friends, they always joke, because growing up in Trinidad, I went to like bazaars. We had things called a bazaar, which was like a fair, but sometimes like a party fair, or all mixed into one. And I would win Bazaar Queen. So it's like this title they throw around over here and there and here, whatever. So yesterday, I was one of 3, right, about contenders for the first place. And then the MC ended up just saying, he was joking about it too, but he was like, okay, so if you feel you shouldn't be up here, why don't you just go sit down? In my mind...
Oh boy, a challenge, right?
In my mind, I'm thinking, so rewind to the beginning of the event, I had already won a prize. I won a prize just for being myself. Like walking into the event and music was playing and I was like, oh, it's an Indian thing in there. And you know me, I love, Indian stuff and Bollywood and all of that. And when the event started, the MC was like, so I'm going to give out the first prize. Boom, I get the first prize just for being the vibe that they wanted. And I was like, oh, okay. So now when I'm in another opportunity to win another prize, in my mind, I'm like, when he said that, I'm like, oh, well, I won a prize already. Right. Let's, not negating who I was or if my outfit was deserving or whatever. But these are real life circumstances that we find ourselves in, where the self-doubt or the self-talk happens to everyone, right? Yeah. So when he said that, I'm like, okay, I'll, go sit down. And he was like, wait, no. And then the ladies, the chair committees and all of that, they're like, no, wait, what are you doing? We're giving 3 prizes. So they were planning on giving the 3 prizes to the 3 of us. But then the other MC or coordinator of the like the production part, as I was about to, he comes down and he goes, don't you ever do that again, young lady. Don't you ever like shrink yourself like that to go away and immediately pull yourself away. And I'm so used to doing that. Whether people believe it or not, I do that often. And I have to remind myself again, like, why? Why do I do that? Because I'm always, this self-talk in my head is going on about, oh, well, people will think I like the attention or I want the attention or, so
yeah, those
again,
mental conversations.
Yeah.
I think if every woman would sit here and be honest, that every woman has been through that. Like, and I think I do that to myself too. Like, not necessarily in that kind of a situation, but like if it's like, oh, you have the opportunity to do something and you're like, oh, am I good enough to do that? Am I able to do that? Should I? And then it's that self-doubt. And then we start almost having a conversation in our heads and we talk ourselves out of it. And sad to say, I can say that that's affected me for years. There's many things I know I should have probably jumped and did it and said, you know what? I'm just going to trust God in this situation. I'm not going to overthink it. He's opened up the door. Let me do it. But then you say, oh, well, this and that. But like you said, we do need to give ourselves more grace and just say, why not? Why not just give it a try? Why not take a leap of faith in this situation and just do it? And so, That's actually a really good story to reflect on for a little while because we do these things all the time.
And yeah, and I mean it's again, it's not about it's something so fun and light, right,
Yeah.
at this event. But what I took away from that event was there was
Mm-hmm.
a male telling me like, don't you dare give up the space that you rightfully earned.
Right.
And this is what, like, even I did the keynote speaking engagement for Resort World
Yes.
that we'll share in the newsletter and all of that. And I poured into that audience there, and I was about self-belief and confidence, and make sure that you know that you belong and you are worth it, and all of the things that I pour out there. And then when it comes to myself, again, the
Always.
grace, like, give ourselves grace that we are worth it, we are enough because of who we are and who we're created to be.
Yes.
And that word grace keeps like dangling all over.
It comes up a lot. It does.
Yeah.
And, with that in mind, I stop and think about the fact that if every person could remember, every single person, even twins and triplets, people who look alike, that we all are made to be an individual. Like our fingerprint is different from every other person's. Like it's amazing to think billions of people, no one's fingerprint is the same. God made you to be Raquel. He made me to be Ashley. He made all of us to be who we are, and no one can be us. That is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
And I think if we start maybe affirming that and within ourselves, then it does help us kind of give ourselves the grace that we need. And to remember, like you said, we're created for more than worrying about people's opinions, worrying about our own negative opinions of ourselves, and to just embrace the good. We have so much that we've been given and gifted.
Yeah, and even like for our advice, I think, to everyone out there, it's like, be kind.
Be kind.
Like I have to say, be kind to so many people this week. I'm like, just be kind. We're so much in a rush that we take for granted the things that can affect people. Like, I even had a phone call with a major university. I'm not going to say the name. But, just again, right? Like this is peak time and everybody's busy and rushing, and they're trying to rush you off or dismiss you. And I'm like, be kind in your approach.
Yes.
Because you never know what that means to someone or does.
Yeah. Really good advice.
Yeah. But see, that's why our episode pivoted, because of all these things that,
Oh, yes. Yes. So we're back with our game.
Favorite segment.
This or that. Yes. So since we're talking about grace, in many ways, these questions have to do with the act of grace. So first question is, would you rather do small acts of kindness daily or take a big opportunity to globally impact the world?
Oh. Wow.
I know.
I think I would do the small acts of kindness daily, because that leads to a bigger impact in the long run. That is my hope. That is my dream. Because I can just see that like escalating into, something bigger.
Yes.
Like that's the way I think,
I hear you.
Because I think if I do the one big impact and then, I don't know. I like my answer. Yeah.
I do too.
What about you?
Of course, it's tempting to say, maybe the Lord impresses a big idea on someone and you're like, oh, I just love to just touch the world. But sometimes, especially thinking about life, like how the journey is the destination, everything is a piece by piece, bit by bit. And because my perspective lately, it's very interesting that we have this question actually, because daily I wake up and I'm like, what do you want me to do today, Lord? So how could I answer the question saying I want to have that global impact when my goal is to be focused in the moment, on today, and wake up and smell the roses, as they say, like, what's happening right now on April, whatever day it is right now, Sunday, April 27th or something. What is it? Oh, April 27th, I think.
Yeah, we're going to be in May, like in 2 seconds. Like,
yes. So daily to say, what can I do in the day to be a blessing to someone, or, that I think for sure doing the small acts of kindness daily is the goal.
And that just actually also reminded me, like, when I shared the story about how I wake up each day and say, who do I help today, Lord?
Yes.
So
you see?
I think the little ones.
That's good.
Yeah.
So number 2, talk over an issue with someone who has hurt you, or quickly forgive them, choosing to just peacefully move forward.
Yeah, I'm a talker, right?
Yeah.
I'm a talker, but I think again, like we grapple with this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it would depend on the circumstance too,
Yeah.
right? Because if I feel in my heart something is not intentional or purposeful or hurtful, it's might be easier to forgive and move on. Not that I would know. I'm just,
Mm-hmm.
hoping, but I'm a talker. Like you have to talk about these things because I feel like if you don't talk, then it feels like it's swept under the rug
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really get your true feelings out there about, like why it hurt you,
Yeah.
what it did. And I feel when you talk about it, you're being mature enough to handle, well, we should be mature enough to handle the response
Yes.
that we get back. I don't know. Does that
There's no
no right
wrong answer
answer,
or right
right?
answer here, but
Yeah.
what I will say is you're right. I would say, oh, let's just give one answer. This is we have to grace each other in this one and be honest.
Yeah,
Number
yeah, yeah.
two requires it to be thought about according to the circumstance. It can't be a quick
Yeah.
answer with this. We can't just say, oh, anytime there's a problem, I'm going to talk it over with someone. Anytime
That's
there's a
true.
problem,
That's
you
true
know.
because the other person might not be willing to talk.
Exactly. It takes two, first of all. And then also thinking about what you said, like, what if it's like, I just think about like, what if it's a recurring issue with somebody? That means that's been swept under the rug many times and that needs to be addressed,
Yeah.
But if it's something that's like, you know what, I'm going to give this person grace on that. I'm going to say, you know what, let me just move past that. Certain things are easier to move forward from than others. So it really definitely depends on the circumstance for sure.
Well, not to put you on the spot, but
Oh boy.
it is our podcast. No.
Yes.
But what's an example of something that would be easily forgiven? Like,
Hmm.
meaning, or something that you would need to talk about. And
I
if you can't think of it, it's fine. But I was
Yeah.
just
I
like,
think honestly though, and this is not always the case. I think it depends on how, because for me, I know I'm the type of person, I'm sure my husband can say, I want to work things. I want to talk things out. I want to just be like, let's just move past this, because I don't
yeah,
like drama with people. I really
yeah,
don't. Like it does bother me. And I think that's just that compassion that the Lord has put in my heart naturally. So for me, it really depends. If that person's attitude is like passive, like, oh, well, I did it, so what? I think I may want to talk it out and be like, well, what's going on with you that you have that kind of feeling? As opposed to someone who's like, I apologize too. I realize my wrong in it. Then I'm more willing to kind of move forward. So
yeah,
it's almost like what's going on with them too. It kind of goes back and forth because my mode is always let's peacefully move forward, genuinely, not to sweep it
yeah,
under the rug and just act like it didn't happen. So
yeah.
yeah.
I've learned that sometimes too people misunderstand and
Oh my
misrepresent.
gosh.
That's why I said too I like to talk
Hmm.
because I just want to, hey, did I do something to offend you by moving the cup? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, you're
Because
right.
and in somebody's eyes, maybe I don't know, in their home, that cup. I don't. I'm just.
No, it's funny, but
It's
it's
funny,
true.
but it's like sometimes it's the little things in life
Yes.
that keeps people apart.
Very much so. And then with the world that we live in with
Yeah.
technology, I remember just briefly, quick little story. I took a class because I majored in communications in college, and the lady she was telling us this is like 2017, so we're now in 2025. It's a whole different world. This is when like miscommunication was starting to happen through texts, and she was just like, guys, just mark my words. 10 years from now, people are going to be killing each other over what they say through a message. If you don't put a
Yeah.
smiley face emoji, somebody will think you're being so upset, and it's just like now communication is 10 times harder, so how do we then decipher how someone is really feeling? So
Yeah.
it is hard. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's so funny you said that because like there was a period of like in text and stuff, moms were made fun of because they're like, moms put the exclamations,
Hmm.
like and if you don't put an exclamation, that means they really are not feeling it.
Right.
And I'm like, what?
It's a lot and it's
Sometimes it's like you
confusing.
just send, you
Hmm.
know, and also I'm the polite police. I don't know, but I use proper grammar and stuff.
Right.
Do you?
Not really always. I try to, but then there are times when I'm like,
Well, I
I
mean,
don't know,
for the
in a
most
rush.
part,
I try, and then I do, and
I
then I
have
get
British
lazy.
education.
Yeah, Tim is always
From
like British and influence. But then
yeah.
I get lazy and I have that button that you press and it records like your text. I hate that I've come to that. It's bad. But I reread it. Some people you could tell they don't reread it and you're like, did you read that before you sent that to me? Like it says gonna like 5 times. But no, we need to care more. I miss letter writing. Like what happened to writing letters to
Oh, I
people?
love letter
I love
writing.
receiving and sending letters.
Oh,
So
I love
y'all,
that. I really love. I used to write, oh my God, I write the best letters, I
yeah.
think.
Well, you give me
Yeah.
really nice cards, so I can attest to that. So thank you.
Yeah.
But
But
I
wait,
miss
let's get
that.
back to you.
Oh,
You
yes,
you
yes.
don't you no no, you
Oh,
don't like voice notes? Because I leave you voice
oh, but
notes.
it helps clarify things. Like
Oh.
if somebody is like writing me and I'm like, this person, they got a temper. Like I don't know if they're being mad at me right now. I
Oh.
like to hear a voice note because I'm like, then they're like, oh, hey, girl, and I'm like, oh, you weren't mad. Like, thank you for clarifying that. So
Oh, good, good, good.
there are things that I think this communication thing. This is a we have started talking about like talking over an issue, and somehow we talked about like talking on a cell phone. So I don't know how we came to this, but
Yeah.
communication in itself, God help us all because it's a lot going on in this
Oh,
world.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Definitely.
we have 3 questions today. So this is our third and final question.
Okay.
So, would you rather ask God to grant one of the following: either provisions for everyone in the world or to give everyone a heart of kindness?
Again, I'm that philosophical. Um, grant everyone kindness because
Or
they will give provision after they're kind.
that's what I think too.
Yeah.
So we don't even have to go back and forth with this. This is now a conversation because
Okay.
I agree. If it's provisions for everyone, we're full, our bellies are full, but you still looked at me the wrong way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like there's always some kind
Yep.
of issue that will
Yep.
occur.
One of my biggest pet peeves, because we know I talk about, like when it comes to food, I don't like people being unkind about food.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody's hungry, they're hungry.
Right.
If you have food and you can give them food, just feed them.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't like people like, oh, watching, oh, she ate 3 bananas instead of,
Mm-hmm.
like, or oh, it's just the food thing. So
Yeah.
provisions, when it comes to provisions, if you have, give.
Yeah.
It just give it. If somebody's hungry, it's for a good, whatever reason it is, just feed them.
Yep.
And that's the way to someone's heart.
Yes.
So
having that heart of kindness for
yeah.
everyone, like you said, that naturally you'd see a person in need and you say, oh, let me help this person. So there would be no issue of provisions if everyone had a heart of kindness.
Correct.
So there we go.
Yeah. But if you provided, you might, again, like you might discriminate against someone. Well, oh, that person is blah blah blah. They don't need food.
Yes.
They don't need provision.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm glad that we both see that from that perspective because I don't know if that answer will be the same for everyone, but the truth is it's not a problem solved with the provisions. People still are going to have problems in other areas.
Yes.
And it's sad, but yeah, a heart of kindness, God. Please grant us all a heart of kindness.
Well, I mean, we're seeing that now in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like the judgment about, well, you don't deserve because you came this way and you don't this. So, yeah.
Yeah. This was good. This got a little more picking our brains, which I appreciate.
Deep.
Yes, deep.
Deep.
Deep this or that.
Yeah. So everyone, we are excited that you joined us for this episode of our podcast. And as we start to wrap up, I want to do a call to action. There have been so many reach outs about guest appearances and just partnering with us. And if you know me, you know that is music to my ears, especially because I love building community, which we have built such an incredible community here. But again, just wanted to reiterate, my name is Raquel Charia. I am the CEO and founder of Let Your Light So Shine, a consulting and coaching company that works with nonprofits, leaders, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and just the community in general. We do want to start to offer an opportunity if someone wants to partner with us, if you want to possibly be a guest on the podcast episode. We will have certain packages where you can either, do a promo or just, again, be part of that partnership in some way. And those things, if you know me, we're not about to get too much into the nitty gritty of it, but it's just, we want to build partnership, build community, and just build a really incredible space where people can take advantage of getting the word out about their business, getting the word out about the work that they do, or anything in general. Okay, so thank you so much again for joining us. And we are now going to take it over to Ash for our closing and have some great words for you guys.
We've reached our end of this episode, and I think we've really enjoyed talking about just grace, talking about giving ourselves grace, as Raquel and myself have felt this month we really needed to do. And yeah, this is just a blessed season of thinking about Christ and everything. And so I just wanted to bring a word before we close, a message to our viewers. It's coming from the book of Colossians. It's chapter 3, verse 14. It just says, but above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection. And 15 says, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts. So everyone, let's just remember that it's important to first and foremost show grace to ourselves, show love to ourselves, show kindness to ourselves, and to show that to others. And so we just want to encourage everyone that when you think about this message of grace and just showing grace to yourself and to others, to always remember daily, it's not hard to be kind and to show kindness, because the world is so full of chaos and so full of hatred that it really would benefit us all to show love to each other.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yes.
And we love you.
Yes. We love everyone and want to just send a message of love and of peace, of kindness to you all. So
yes.
That concludes our episode. And this is Raq.
This is Ash.
And this is our podcast.
Yes,
so God bless everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
you so much. Oh, sorry. Did I hit your shoe cam?
No,
during the shoe cam? I like yours. Yours is bling.
Oh, thank you. I like yours too.
Yeah.
And my toes are not done, so.
My toes are done. Matches my outfit, actually. Look.
Yes, it does. So bye-bye.